Hello friends, for today's video I wanted to do a book haul and primarily be focusing on some special editions that I've gotten over the last few months. The first of the special editions is one that I actually got my husband for Christmas, so we got it a while back, and that would be Pito Street Station, specifically the Broken Binding edition. And Broken Binding has knocked it out of the park time and time again. They continuously not just put in so much effort to bring great special editions, but I find, and I think a lot of you feel similarly, that they really focus on books that we don't often see getting special editions. They're willing to take a chance on doing special editions for an entire series, which is another pet peeve for a lot of us, is that companies sometimes will do the first book in the series, but then not the rest. So it's just really great to see a company that is, it seems like, putting in all this effort genuinely because they want to bring great additions to the books that we love, and they end up commissioning some fantastic artwork for these editions as well. But regardless, Pito Street Station, this particular edition is probably the prettiest one that I've ever seen. Sean's a big fan of this book, and I was so excited because there's just not that many great editions of this series, or this book I should say, because technically I believe it's a series, but I think they're not all connected the same way we typically think of series. Anyway, but look at those sprayed edges. They're so beautiful. I love the way that they take the image from the front and tie it into that. The colors are fantastic. I think this is one of the most beautiful editions I have seen from the Broken Binding, which is saying a lot because they've made some beautiful editions before. It's also signed by the author on the inside, and I kind of like that they had printed an image on these pages and then had the signature in white. I think that's really cool. And then the naked hardback has that as well. I can't speak to the significance of this structure at all because I myself have not yet read this, but I know it's one of Sean's favorite sci-fi fantasy books, and I do plan to pick it up at some point. But yeah, Broken Binding, I can't speak highly of them enough. They not only make great editions, but they're just, in general, they just have such a positive air to them on their social media presence, with their social media presence, I should say. Their checking out process is always really, really simple. There's never any weird hiccups. They keep everybody in the loop really well. And I'm sure if you've ever gotten something from them before, you know this already, but they package all of them like presents. They're always wrapped with a ribbon. They often have a sticker on the wrapping itself, not the book, thank goodness, but the wrapping, there's often a sticker that has basically a sneak peek of what you're about to open, you could say. So just in general, Broken Binding is fantastic, and this edition is absolutely gorgeous. If you're on the hunt and you can find this, I would highly recommend it. Next up, we have the Owl Crate edition of Ruthless Vows. So I, speaking of being on the hunt for things, kind of went on a hunt for the first book, Divine Rivals, which I was able to get my hands on, and then I was so excited because I was able to get Ruthless Vows right when it came out. I did not have to buy it secondhand for a really increased price point or anything like that. And to me, these are my favorite editions of this duology. I just think that these covers, while somewhat understated, I just think have an elegance to them. I really like that it looks like it has that typewriter font, because the typewriters, if you've read this duology, you know have a lot of significance to the story. I really love the detail of the violin here on these pages. That also has significance, especially in this one, the second book specifically. And I think that it's so pretty that they have this quote here on the naked hardback. There's artwork on the sleeve, so if you wanted to reverse your dust jacket, you could. And then the end pages here are so pretty, once again, with the violin. And I just think this and the first one go so well together. I was really excited because this was one of my favorite duologies that I picked up last year. I thought it was phenomenal. And look at on the back, they have another thing. So the details are great. I will say Owl Crate has impressed me with a lot of the editions that they have put out over the last year or two. I have really, when I do end up getting one, I'm really impressed not just with the editions themselves, but it feels like certain book box companies, they really nowadays, they're putting in a lot of effort. We're really spoiled with a lot of the special editions, but sometimes it seems like they just take the regular cover and then they just change the color scheme a little bit and call it a day, and it's really cool to see Owlcrate. It is taking a chance, or you always run the risk, you know, that people will like the regular cover more, but I do like that they're willing to go for an exclusive cover that is different from the one that you're seeing in general retailers. And I really appreciate that they're taking that effort because they're kind of going that extra step to really make it feel special. And I think that they did a great job with both the first and the second for this series. This next book gives pretty much every book I'm going to mention in this book haul a run for its money as far as being one of the most beautiful editions I've ever seen. I have the first one and I thought that it was gorgeous, and I was like, man, they could make the next one half as good as this and it's still going to be beautiful. They didn't make it half as good. It is just as beautiful as the first, and that would be Darkar Burning Ash Falls White, specifically the Illumicrate edition. So while I like this cover and I really like the sort of transition from these pinkish tones into more of the warm orange tones at the bottom, and I do think that this is beautiful. It's the edges and the naked hardback that I am blown away by. So these are so pretty. I love that they follow the same transition of color as the front here on the edges. So these are absolutely gorgeous. And then if you haven't seen this naked hardback, prepare yourself because it's so pretty. Oh my gosh. It's so beautiful. Look at this naked hardback. Is that not one of the most beautiful books you've ever seen? Illumicrate, I was just praising Owlcrate and Broken Binding. Illumicrate, I'm like, you didn't have to, I don't know why you decided to go all the way with this, but you did, and you didn't have to, and thanks, because it's so, I don't know what to say. It's so beautiful. They just knocked it out of the park. It's gorgeous. It's so pretty. And then on top of all that, look at this artwork on the inside. It's so pretty. It's so beautiful. I bet my camera, I record on my phone, so I bet my phone is flipping out a little bit about the colors because it keeps being a different color, and it's probably going to make the colors on the camera, it's not going to adjust well. But anyway, then there's artwork here on the back as well. So just a back and forth, you can see the way it parallels between the characters, and then that beautiful naked hardback. Seriously, what the heck? It's so pretty. It's so pretty. Also from Illumicrate, we have The Prisoner's Throne. So this art style is really unique, and so I like that it's such a stylized look, but once again, it's the naked hardback that really it is great. So I'm also a sucker for animals on the covers, and both this one and the previous one have it. I think the fox on this looks great. I like the texture. I know it's a weird detail, but the texture of this and how this fox and the details around with the plants really stand out as a result. You also have that same pattern on the back, just without the title, so you can see just the image. The edges themselves are also really beautiful. I think that usually you'd see it solid on the top, so I think it's kind of cool that they went all the way from top to bottom. And then they have artwork on the inside. The artwork is so pretty too, and it is signed and has a note on the inside, which I think is awesome. So Illumicrate, Owlcrate, you have both very impressed impressed me these last couple years with your special editions. These are great. The next few books are not special editions, but I just wanted to mention them really quick. We have the paperback edition of Happy Place. So Emily Henry's books are not necessarily part of a series. It's not like with some contemporary romance series where you'll have a character who's the main focus of the story and then a side character gets their own book. It's not like that, but her books do have the same art style from one to the next, and so as a result, I want to keep them as the same format. And the previous books that had come out by Emily Henry, unless I'm mistaken and I just didn't know because I didn't pick up her books when they first got released, I don't think there are hardbacks, and if they are, I don't think they're all that easy to come by. So I have her first 3 works in paperbacks for the US editions. And then when this one came out, I'm assuming, I don't know this for a fact, that as a result of how much popularity she's gained over the last few years, that would be my guess as to why this one, when it first came out as a hardback, and then the paperback was released. So I've just kind of been waiting around until this paperback was released, and when Barnes & Noble would have one of their 25% off pre-order sales, because you can get them for the new format. It doesn't just have to be a brand new book, meaning what I did with this one. Technically, this story has been out into the world for a while, but because the paperback, you could pre-order technically the paperback, I got this 25% off. This pink is so vibrant. I wonder, it looks so intense that it almost hurts my eyes when I'm holding it up next to me. Another situation that has to do with things being cohesive across the series, I got a new printing of a Fury Song by Rosaria Munda. So the Aurelian Cycle, one of my favorite series of all time. I absolutely love this series. I've hyped it up many a time on my channel. But there's a whole bit of shenanigans with this series. So initially it had this hardback that came out where there's a dragon and its wings go like this, and it's actually really cool because in the wings you have the silhouette of the two main characters. So the design was pretty cool, but the publisher decided to do a mid-series cover change, which nobody likes. And as a result, I was like, well, I would like them all to match. So I was seeing that there was never going to be a hardback of the new cover. It was just going to be the paperback that would come out with the new cover, and then the rest of the series would come out in hardback first with the new covers and then paperbacks. And I'm like, okay, that means I'm never going to have a matching set of hardbacks. I'll just get the paperbacks. So I got the first two in paperback, and then somebody very kindly made what is basically the image of the new hardcovers. They made that, but for an alternate sleeve where you could get the original hardback, take that sleeve off, and put this person's sleeve on so that you could get them all in hardbacks and it would match. So I did that, and then Fury Song, when the publisher first printed this in paperback, it was really skinny and it didn't match really the dimensions of the other ones in paperback. This is a whole thing, and I don't even know if I'm explaining it very well. But basically, for the hardbacks, you could get two that matched, and then very much later, you could get somebody who very nicely put effort into making an alternate sleeve where you could get the original hardback and swap it out so you'd have a matching set of hardbacks. Or you could get the first two books in paperback that would match, but then the third one had smaller size paper, the like really thin paper, so that it was way skinnier and it just didn't look right. The dimensions were off. So there was just something off about the series no matter which format you went with. And it's one of my favorite series of all time. Hey, I need somebody to make a special edition of the series. So if any of these book boxes do, that'd be great. But anyway, point is, I have now basically a set of hardbacks and a set of paperbacks for this series. I'm not mad about it. It's one of my favorites. The paperbacks are extremely, it's so goofy. The paperbacks for the first two are extremely tabbed up, and then the hardback of the third one's extremely tabbed up. Maybe someday I'll transfer my tabs, though. We'll see. Anyway, I don't know if that made any sense. The series matches now. That's the main point. And then this is just very random, but I got What Feasts at Night by T. Kingfisher. Originally, What Moves the Dead seemed as though it was going to be a standalone novella. I think these are short enough to be considered novellas. And I did enjoy it. It's not my favorite of T. Kingfisher's works, but I always basically have a good time, even if it's not my all-time favorite of her writing. So I'm hoping that I really enjoy this one. I liked the aesthetic, you could say, and how creepy everything was in What Moves the Dead, although I wouldn't say I was actually frightened at any point. It's not like I had to avoid reading the book late at night or something like that, or when I'm home alone. But I still really enjoyed how she told that story. It was The Fall of the House of Usher, a retelling of that. And I don't know too much about What Feasts the Night. I just know it is basically a sequel to that one. So excited to pick that up eventually. I don't know if I want to read that soon or if I want to wait till fall, but we'll see. It probably depends on library holds and other things. Now for the special editions that I am maybe most excited to talk about, which would be some editions of the Stormlight Archive. So I'm a fan of Stormlight Archive. I'm sure many of you know that. And I've always wanted to eventually get the UK hardbacks, and I'm sure you've seen them before. They're basically the way that the UK paperbacks look, except for rather than be split, they're just massive hardbacks. The downside though is, one, it's kind of difficult to find these, and it can be a little tricky because I'm in the US. It depends on which retailer you're getting it from, but regardless, sometimes they can be really expensive as well. And then I saw that they were going to be doing this special edition set where you could get them all in hardback. They wouldn't be split. They would be these giant editions. They would have these quotes on the edges. The edges would be sprayed. They have ribbons. All of them have ribbons in them. And then when you take off the sleeve, it looks like that, which is similar to the design of the leather-bound editions. So I was like, oh man, I want those. And the downside though, as far as I could tell, and I tried many a time, and I'm like, am I just an idiot? I don't think I'm an idiot. I think I'm just sad. I don't think they shipped to the US. This website, I don't think would ship to my address. And I was like, no. Every time I would try, I'm like, maybe if I tried Google Chrome instead of Safari, and I was trying different search engines, and it was not working. So I was like, no. So my friend Sophia, who lives in the UK, she has her own channel. I'll have her linked. She's often in discussion videos with me. I asked her, I was like, hey, is there any chance? She very nicely let me send these to her house, and then I paid her for shipping, and she so sweetly shipped them to my house. So that's how I was able to get my hands on these. Thank you, Sophia. It was so nice of you to do that. But really quick, I'm just going to go through and show if you've not seen these before so that you can get a look at them. They're so giant. And I've had them, because these shelves are quite tall, so I've had these way up high where I have to get a step stool to reach them. But I've wanted to show them for a while because I think they're so cool. Here's Oathbringer. There's the edge there. Here's the quote on the pages and words of radiance. I feel like I unintentionally kind of matched these today. There's the quote for words of radiance. Here's how it looks. And then the last one, Way of Kings. Of course, this one's not quite as chunky as the others. Oh, they're so cool. I love them so much. I was so excited. And, well, it was such a roller coaster of emotions because I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I thought about it for a long time. I'm like, I'm going to get these. And then went to order them, and then, my heart sank because I'm like, no, I can't. And then Sophia made it so that I could. So I'm so excited to have those. They're so cool. I love them so much. Very excited to have those editions. But anyway, that's it for some mostly special editions that I've gotten recently, and then a couple of other random books. Let me know if there's a special edition that you are going to try to get your hands on, or is there a book box company that's been really impressing you lately? Thanks so much for watching though. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye.